Start your day with Psalm 27. Let the words of this sacred psalm fill your heart, your mind, and your soul as you rise with the dawn. In a world full of uncertainties, challenges, and overwhelming distractions, there is one constant, one unshakable truth. God is with you. From the moment your feet hit the floor, you have a choice to make. Will you face the day in your own strength, relying on your own wisdom, or will you lean on the eternal, unchanging promises of God? Psalm 27 begins with these powerful words, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" What a statement! What a declaration of confidence! As you begin your day, let these words resonate deep within your spirit. The Lord is your light. He is the source of all wisdom and understanding. He is your salvation, your rescue, your deliverance from all that is dark and oppressive in this world. He is the strength of your life, the foundation on which you stand. He is the one who holds you up when everything else seems to crumble. And if God is for you, who can stand against you? If the Creator of the universe is on your side, what in this world could possibly shake you? In this life, we face many fears. We fear failure, we fear rejection, we fear sickness, we fear the unknown. But when you start your day with Psalm 27, you are reminded that the one who holds the stars in the sky, the one who parted the Red Sea, the one who raised Jesus from the dead, this same God is your strength, your light, your salvation. Now, we all know that life is not always easy. We face difficulties, trials, and moments of doubt. But listen to what the psalmist says next. "When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. What an assurance!" The enemies of the soul, the forces of evil, the trials that come to test your faith cannot ultimately prevail. No matter what struggles you face today, no matter how many adversaries rise up against you, the Lord will make them stumble and fall. You are not alone in this battle. God fights for you. So when you rise in the morning, before you get caught up in the busyness of the day, remind yourself of the truth. The Lord is on your... You are not powerless. You are not helpless. You have a refuge, a fortress, a stronghold in the living God, the psalmist continues. "Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. Though the world may seem to be falling apart, though the storms of life may rage around you, in God you will find peace." Let this be your confidence. Let this be your foundation. When your heart is anchored in Him, no weapon formed against you will prosper. When you start your day with Psalm 27, you are reminded of the presence of God. The psalmist declares, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple." This is the heart of worship, the desire to be in the presence of God. When you begin your day, are you longing for His presence? Are you seeking His face above all else? There is no greater treasure, no greater joy than to know that you are walking in fellowship with the Almighty. So many people today are searching for fulfillment in all the wrong places. They seek happiness in possessions, in accomplishments, in relationships, in experiences. But let me tell you this, true peace, true fulfillment can only be found in the presence of God. There is nothing in this world that can satisfy the deepest longings of your soul except for the one who made you. When you make the decision to start your day with Psalm 27, you are choosing to seek the Lord with all your heart. You are choosing to prioritize His presence over all the distractions that seek to pull you away. But even as you seek God's presence, the psalmist reminds us that there will be times of trouble. He says, "For in the time of trouble He shall hide me in His pavilion. In the secret of His tabernacle shall He hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock." There are times when life seems like a storm, when it feels as if everything around you is shaking, but in those moments, God promises to be your refuge. He will hide you in the secret place of His presence. He will set you upon a rock that cannot be moved. When you start your day with Psalm 27, you are affirming that even in your most difficult moments, you have a place of refuge. When the world is chaotic, when you are overwhelmed by the pressures of life, you can find peace in the secret place of God. There is no storm too great, no trouble too overwhelming that God cannot shield you from. He is your hiding place, your safe haven. The psalmist goes on to say, "And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord." Even in the midst of trouble, there is a joy that transcends circumstances. Even when the enemy seems to be closing in, there is a song of praise that rises up from the depths of the heart. When you start your day with Psalm 27, you are declaring that no matter what comes your way, your heart will be filled with praise. You will lift up your head in victory, knowing that the Lord is with you. In times of trial, it is easy to lose sight of the blessings we have in Christ. We become so focused on the problems, the pain, the disappointments, that we forget the goodness of God. But the psalmist reminds us to lift our heads up, to lift our hearts in praise, because God has already given us the victory. The battle may be fierce, but the outcome is already secure in Christ. Your enemies may surround you, but you are more than a conqueror through him who loves you. And as the psalm concludes, we hear the cry of the psalmist's heart. "Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me." In every moment of your day, in every situation, you can call upon the Lord. You can cry out to him for help, for guidance, for mercy, and you can be confident that he will answer. God is not distant. He is not indifferent to your struggles. He is close, always near, always listening to the cries of his people. You may not always understand why things happen the way they do. You may not always see the answers you long for, but you can rest assured that God hears your prayer. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He will guide you, he will strengthen you, and he will carry you through every trial. In the final verses of the psalm, the psalmist says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord." This is the call to trust in God's timing. There will be times when you don't understand what God is doing, when you don't see the way forward, but he is calling you to wait with courage, to trust that he is at work behind the scenes, to trust that his plans for you are good, and to wait for his perfect timing. As you begin your day with Psalm 27, you are choosing to trust in the Lord's faithfulness. You are choosing to wait for his guidance, his strength, and his provision. And in doing so, you will find courage, you will find peace, you will find joy, even in the midst of trials. So my friend, as you rise this morning, remember the words of Psalm 27. Let them be your strength, your encouragement, your hope. Start your day by fixing your eyes on the Lord, by trusting in his presence, by seeking his face above all else. Let the words of this psalm be the foundation on which you stand, and know that no matter what this day may bring, you are not alone. The Lord is with you, and he is your light, your salvation, and your strength. As you walk through this day, let your heart be filled with the peace that comes from knowing that the Creator of the universe is watching over you. Let your spirit be filled with the joy that comes from knowing that you are in his presence. And let your mouth be filled with praise, for he is worthy of all honor, all glory, and all. The Lord is your refuge, your rock, your deliverer. Let him be the first thought in your mind as you start your day, and the last thought in your heart as you lay your head down at night. With God, nothing is impossible. Start your day with Psalm 27 and watch how he transforms your heart, your mind, and your circumstances. And remember this, if God is with you, who can be against you? The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? These opening words of Psalm 27 resonate with an incredible clarity, an immediate declaration of faith that can truly set the tone for how we approach our day, our lives, and our struggles. The Lord is my light and my salvation is not just a poetic statement. It's a profound declaration of trust in God. It is a reminder that no matter what we face, no matter how dark the circumstances may appear, God is our guiding light. He is the one who illumines our path, the one who provides clarity in the midst of confusion. and the one who offers safety when danger looms. This is a powerful affirmation that we should carry with us as we begin each day. Light in its most basic form dispels darkness. It reveals what is hidden in shadows, and it provides clarity in places that might otherwise be shrouded in uncertainty. The very first thing the psalmist does is acknowledge that the Lord is that light. He is the source of all wisdom and understanding. When we are uncertain about what the future holds, or when we feel like we're walking through dark valleys, it is comforting to know that God has promised to light the way. But this declaration isn't just about physical light. It's a deeper, spiritual light. It is about the light of His truth, the light of His Word, and the light of His presence. Just as we need physical light to navigate the world around us, we need God's spiritual light to navigate the world within us. Life is full of questions, doubts, and moments where we feel lost. But when we turn to God, when we allow Him to shine His light into the darkest corners of our hearts, we gain clarity, we gain understanding, we gain the peace that surpasses all understanding. How many times have we found ourselves in the midst of confusion, not knowing where to turn? How many times have we been faced with a decision that seemed too overwhelming, too daunting? But when we start our day with the realization that God is our light, we are reminded that He will guide us. We do not have to stumble in the darkness, hoping that somehow we will find our way. The path is illuminated by the light of His presence. He has already gone before us and made the way straight. All we need to do is trust Him to lead us. And what a powerful thought it is to recognize that God is not only our light, but He is also our salvation. Salvation is one of the most beautiful and profound concepts in the Bible. It speaks of rescue, deliverance, and redemption. It speaks of being freed from bondage, from oppression, and from the weight of sin and death. When we talk about salvation, we are not only talking about eternal life in heaven, we are talking about a present, active deliverance in our lives right now. You see, God doesn't just save us in some distant future sense. He saves us today. He saves us from the fears that paralyze us, from the regrets that haunt us, and from the failures that threaten to define us. He saves us from our circumstances, from the enemy that seeks to destroy us, and from our own doubts and insecurities. Salvation is a full spectrum deliverance, and the psalmist makes it clear, God is our salvation. He is the one who rescues us from everything that threatens our peace, our joy, and our well-being. The fact that God is our salvation should be a continual source of hope for us. We don't need to live in fear of what the future holds because God is our deliverer. He is the one who has already won the ultimate victory. And because He has saved us, we can confidently say, "Whom shall I fear?" Fear has a way of taking root in our hearts and minds. It can paralyze us, stop us in our tracks, and keep us from moving forward. Fear often comes from the unknown, from what might happen in the future, or from the struggles that we face in the present. But when we start our day with the reminder that the Lord is our salvation, we can put fear in its proper place. We no longer need to fear the things that seem beyond our control because we serve the one who is in control of all things. Fear often magnifies our problems. It causes us to focus on what could go wrong, what we might lose, and what might happen to us. But when we focus on the truth that God is our salvation, our perspective shifts. We start to see our problems in light of His power, His grace, and His faithfulness. Our fears become smaller in the presence of God's greatness. The psalmist's declaration, "Whom shall I fear?" is not a question, it's an answer. When God is for us, who can stand against us? When He is our light and our salvation, what do we have to fear? Fear can only thrive in darkness, in ignorance, and in uncertainty. But with God's light shining brightly, fear begins to lose its grip. Fear tries to keep us locked in a place of anxiety, worry, and doubt. But God's salvation brings freedom. It brings peace. It brings rest. The more we meditate on the truth that God is our salvation, the less room fear has to operate in our hearts. When you start your day with the thought that God has already saved you, has already delivered you, you begin the day with a sense of security and peace. You know that whatever comes your way, God is able to handle it. The psalmist goes on to declare, "The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" The strength of our life. This is a deeply significant statement. We draw our strength from many things in life: our health, our relationships, our finances, our talents, our abilities. But all of these things can fail. Our health can decline, relationships can be strained, finances can fluctuate, abilities can be weakened. But there is one thing that will never fail: the strength of the Lord. The Lord is the source of all strength. His strength is not limited by our circumstances or by our weaknesses. His strength is limitless, boundless, and unshakable. When the psalmist declares that God is the strength of his life, he is acknowledging that his life and all that he does is sustained by the power of God. This is a truth that we must internalize. We are not relying on our own strength to face the challenges of the day. We are relying on the strength of the Almighty God, who is more than able to see us through every trial, every obstacle, and every difficulty. How many times have we tried to face the battles of life on our own? We try to muster up the strength to go through difficult situations, to carry heavy burdens, to overcome challenges. But we quickly discover that our own strength is insufficient. We get tired, we become weary, we feel overwhelmed. But when we begin our day by acknowledging that the Lord is the strength of our life, we shift our focus from our limitations to His limitless power. We begin the day in the knowledge that we do not have to carry the weight of life on our own. God is our strength. He will empower us, He will uphold us, and He will enable us to do what we cannot do in our own strength. The strength of God is not just physical strength, it is emotional, mental, and spiritual strength. When we are weak, He is strong. When we are discouraged, He is our encouragement. When we feel like giving up, He gives us the courage to press on. The strength of God is available to us every single day. When we start our day with the truth that God is the strength of our life, we begin the day with a sense of empowerment. We know that we are not facing the challenges of the day alone. God is our strength, and His strength is made perfect in our weakness. And once again, the psalmist asks, "Of whom shall I be afraid?" This is not just a rhetorical question, it is a declaration of confidence. When God is your light, your salvation, and your strength, you have nothing to fear. The fears of life may still come, but they are no match for the power of God. The enemies of the soul, the challenges of the day, the obstacles that seem insurmountable, all of them pale in comparison to the greatness of our God. Fear only has power when we forget the greatness of God. But when we start our day with Psalm 27, we are reminded of who God is and what He has done. We remember that He is our light, our salvation, and our strength. And with that knowledge, we can face whatever comes our way with courage, peace, and hope. So let these words echo in your heart every day. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Let these words be the first thing you speak when you wake up in the morning. Let them be the foundation on which you stand as you face the day ahead. When you start your day with these truths, you set yourself up for a day of confidence, courage, and faith in the one who holds everything in His hands. When we look at the words of Psalm 27, we are reminded that life is full of adversities, challenges, and dangers. The psalmist doesn't ignore the harsh realities of life, but rather faces them head on, acknowledging that there are enemies, threats, and situations that are beyond his control. However, despite these external forces, the psalmist makes a powerful declaration that his trust is not in his own ability to overcome these struggles, but in the protection and deliverance of God. When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. This is the psalmist's recognition of the presence of enemies in his life. He acknowledges that evil exists, that there are those who seek to harm him, to destroy him, to undermine his well-being. But this is not a place where the psalmist becomes filled with fear or panic. Instead, he speaks of a profound confidence that the enemy's plans will not prosper. He acknowledges the threat, but he does not allow it to control him. The enemies are real, but they are not invincible. This is a powerful lesson for each of us. In life, we will undoubtedly face challenges, adversity, and opposition. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when we face obstacles that seem insurmountable. We might be dealing with people who are hostile, circumstances that seem to be working against us, or trials that seem relentless. But when we start our day with the recognition that God is in control, we are reminded that no matter how great the opposition, no matter how strong the forces arrayed against us, God is greater. Notice that the psalmist doesn't say that the enemies weren't there or that the threats didn't exist. He speaks of them coming upon him, attacking him. He doesn't minimize the danger he faces. He faces it head on and names it his enemies, the wicked, those who wish him harm. The psalmist is not living in denial. He's not pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. He's aware of the real dangers in his life. And yet in the face of these dangers, he confidently declares that his enemies will stumble and fall. Why? Because the Lord is his protector, and no weapon formed against him shall prevail. This is where the power of trusting in God becomes evident. Life will not always be without trouble. We cannot avoid every conflict, every hardship, or every difficulty. The presence of enemies, the presence of threats is inevitable. What matters, however, is how we respond to these challenges. Will we face them with fear, anxiety, and insecurity, or will we face them with the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing that God is our defender? The psalmist's confidence isn't based on his own strength or abilities. It's rooted in his trust in God's faithfulness and power to protect and deliver. The imagery in this verse is vivid. The enemies are coming upon him to eat up my flesh, a powerful metaphor for destruction. The psalmist is acknowledging that these enemies do not merely want to inconvenience him or disagree with him. They want to consume him, to annihilate him, to completely destroy him. This is a deep and real threat. And yet, despite the severity of the threat, the psalmist declares that they stumbled and fell. This is a reminder that no matter how great the enemy may appear, it is always God who has the final say. The Lord is the one who determines the outcome. No matter how fierce the battle, no matter how formidable the adversary, the psalmist understands that it is God who will deliver him. The enemies might come with all their strength, with all their hatred, with all their power, but they will not succeed because the Lord is his protector. The psalmist goes on to speak with an even greater sense of confidence. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. Here the psalmist imagines an even greater level of opposition, not just one enemy, but a whole army, a host surrounding him. And even in this situation, he refuses to allow fear to take root in his heart. Even when it seems like the odds are insurmountable, when everything points to defeat, the psalmist declares that his heart will not fear. Why? Because his trust is in the Lord. Fear is one of the greatest tools of the enemy. It is often the weapon the enemy uses to paralyze us, to prevent us from moving forward, to make us believe that defeat is inevitable. Fear distorts our perspective and makes the problems we face appear insurmountable. But when we start our day with the recognition that God is with us, that he is our protector, we can face fear with confidence. Fear does not have to control us. It does not have to dictate our actions or shape our decisions. When we place our trust in the Lord, fear begins to lose its power over us. The psalmist's confidence in God is not based on his own strength or military prowess. It's based on his relationship with God and the trust he has in God's ability to deliver him. In this will I be confident, the psalmist says. What is this? It's the assurance that God will not leave him or forsake him, that God will fight on his behalf. It's the confidence that comes from knowing that no matter how great the battle, no matter how many enemies rise against him, God will be there as his defender. The psalmist's declaration is not just a statement of faith, it's a declaration of victory. Even before the battle is fought, the psalmist is confident of the outcome. This is a remarkable attitude to have. Often we tend to wait until after a challenge is over to declare victory. But the psalmist's faith is so strong that he can declare victory even in the midst of the battle. He doesn't need to see the outcome to believe that God will deliver him. His trust in God's faithfulness is enough. In our own lives, we can learn much from the psalmist's example. There will be times when it seems like everything is against us. We will face challenges, adversities, and even personal attacks that feel overwhelming. But if we start our day with the knowledge that God is our protector, that He is our defender, we can face these challenges with the same confidence the psalmist expressed. We do not have to be consumed with fear, worry, or anxiety. We can rest in the knowledge that God is bigger than any enemy, bigger than any obstacle, bigger than any challenge. This doesn't mean that the enemy will disappear or that our problems will vanish. What it does mean is that we can face them with courage. We can face them knowing that God is fighting for us, that He is with us in the midst of the struggle. We can face them knowing that God has already secured the victory on our behalf. God's protection doesn't always mean that we will never face harm or that we will never experience pain, but it does mean that He will be with us through it all. He will sustain us, strengthen us, and deliver us in His perfect timing. His protection is not always about preventing every trial. Sometimes it's about giving us the strength to endure through the trials. And sometimes it's about showing us that the enemy's power is not what we think it is. The enemy may seem powerful, but in reality, the enemy's power is nothing compared to the power of God. When we start our day with the recognition that God is our protector, we shift our focus from our problems to His power. We stop magnifying the size of the enemy and begin to magnify the size of our God. We begin to see that the enemy, no matter how fierce, cannot stand against the one who is stronger, greater, and mightier than all. This mindset of confidence in God's protection allows us to move forward in life with courage, even in the face of danger. We can walk into our day knowing that no matter what challenges we face, God is with us. We can face the unknown knowing that God is already there. We can face our fears knowing that God has already overcome them. We can face our enemies knowing that God will make them stumble and fall. And finally, the psalmist concludes this part of his declaration with the ultimate affirmation of his trust in God. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. No matter how intense the opposition, no matter how difficult the battle, the psalmist remains confident in God. This is the kind of faith that can carry us through any trial. It is a faith that doesn't depend on circumstances, on what we can see or understand, but on the unshakable truth that God is with us and will never leave us. No matter what comes, we can confidently declare that God is our defender, our protector, and our deliverer. And in this we can rest assured. Let us remember that the words of Psalm 27 are not just ancient declarations, but a living testament of how we can face each day with confidence, courage, and hope. The Lord is our light, our salvation, and the strength of our life. No matter what we face, no matter how daunting the challenges or how fierce the opposition, we can begin each day with the assurance that God is with us. His light will guide us, His salvation will protect us, and His strength will empower us. The psalmist's unwavering faith in the face of adversity teaches us a profound truth, that our response to fear, uncertainty, and even direct attack must not be rooted in what we see or feel, but in the unshakable foundation of God's promises. When we start our day with the awareness that God is our refuge, our defender, and our provider, we are filled with the peace that comes from knowing we are never alone in this journey. Let these truths transform how you face each new day. Let the Lord be your light when the world seems dark, your salvation when fear tries to take hold, and your strength when you feel weak. With God at your side, no enemy, no fear, no circumstance can ultimately stand against you. Remember, as you go forward in this life, that the Lord is your protector, your source of confidence, and the one who will always lead you to victory. Start your day with Psalm 27 and walk boldly into the day with a heart full of faith, knowing that God's promises are as true today as they were when the psalmist first wrote them. Let the words of this psalm be the first thought you have in the morning. the foundation on which you stand, and the last thought as you rest your head at night, secure in the knowledge that the Lord is with you always.
If you believe this message was meant for you, type "Thank you, God" in the comments as a declaration of your faith that greater things are on the way.